must wait a moment.
Today I want to go over a Lightning Storm build for the Druid that uses the new Lightning Storm unique item. And this is a more classic version of a Lightning Storm build, meaning we're going to be using Grizzly Rage. So with this build, you are going to need Tempest Roar to make it work. Now Tempest Roar has a lucky hit. Storm skills have up to a 25% chance to grant Force Spirit, but the main reason we want this is your base Storm skills are now also Werewolf skills. And mixed in with a bunch of our legendary aspects, Grizzly Rage is going to turn us into a werewolf, and all of our skills are now going to be werewolf skills, meaning they get a ton of additional scaling. And that brings us to our skill tree, starting with Wind Shear, which is going to be a range generator. Upgrade 1 could cause enemies to become vulnerable. You probably won't have to use this much, but you still have to put 2 points in generators anyway to get lower in the tree. Then 5 points into Lightning Storm, our main damaging ability. The main way you're going to use this is you hold down the keybind to build it up to 5 strikes. Then you just spam click that keybind and that will cast faster than holding it. And because of upgrade 1, our Lightning Storm size will be preserved for 6 seconds. So after you get it up to those 5 strikes, you have 6 seconds to cast another Lightning Storm to keep the size. So then you just spam click because it is faster. Upgrade 2 has a chance to immobilize enemies. Then we're going down and we're taking Cyclone Armor, which is just non-physical damage reduction. When you activate it, it does some damage to enemies around you. Upgrade 1 causes the enemy's knockback to be slowed. Upgrade 2 gives us a damage reduction every 10 seconds. Then we have Bloodhowl, just a big heal, which is going to be a good amount of healing for us. Upgrade 1 reduces the cooldown by 1 second per kill. Upgrade 2 gives us 20 spirit, and this will just help us to make sure we never have to use our generator. Then we're going down, we're taking Hurricane, just an AoE around us. Upgrade 1 slows enemies. Upgrade 2 makes enemies deal 20% less damage, which is the main reason we're taking it. Then we're going down, we're taking Grizzly Rage, gives us massive buffs. Upgrade 1 makes us unstoppable for 6 seconds. Upgrade 2, we fortify for 8% of our max life per second, which is our main fortify in this build. Then for our capstone, we're using Earthern Might, which is a lucky hit. Damaging enemies with an Earth skill has a 5% chance to restore all spirit and cause all of your attacks to be guaranteed crits for 5 seconds. The chance for this to proc is increased to 10% for crits or if hitting CC'd enemies, and we're using a legendary aspect to allow this capstone to proc on any storm skills. Then for our passives, 1 into Heart of the Wild to get 3 into Wild Impulses. Your core skills cost more but do massively increased damage. 1 into Predatory Instinct to get increased movement speed. WoW in Werewolf, pretty big movement speed and will be up 100% of the time. 3 into Ancestral Fortitude for increased resistances, very important actually. Then 3 into Vigilance. When you use a defensive, we get DR, and because Bloodhowl constantly resets, we'll have this up most of the time. 3 into Nature's Reach, increased damage to distant enemies, double this if they're CC'd, which it will be a lot of the time. Then we're taking 1 into Elemental Exposure, just another vulnerable chance. 1 into Charge Atmosphere, every 14 seconds you spawning Lightning Bolt, which will be massively increased with some of our modifiers in our Paragon Boards. 3 into Electric Shock, which is a lucky hit. Dealing lightning damage has a chance to immobilize an enemy. If that enemy is already immobilized, which our Lightning Storm can do, you instead deal massively increased damage to them. Then a Bad Omen, another lucky hit, up to a 30% chance when damaging a vulnerable or CC'd enemy to spawn a lightning bolt that does more damage, and this will be massively buffed up as well. Then we're going down 1 into Neurotoxin to get 1 into Toxic Claws. Critical strikes with werewolf skills poison enemies. We only care that they are poisoned, and all of our skills are going to be werewolf skills, so any crit poisons. Then Envenom, you and your companions deal massively increased critical strike damage to poisoned enemies. Once you get later in the game and get better rolled items, getting Envenom on your necklace is also very good. Then we're going down 3 into Defiance. Nature skills do more damage to elites, and then 3 into Circle of Life. Nature skills that consume spirit heal you. So every time we cast Lightning Storm, we're getting 3% of our max life as healing, which is a main way we heal outside of our Bloodhowl. Next up, we have our Spirit Boons. Wariness to take reduced damage from elites. We have Sight Talons for increased critical strike chance, and Avian Wraith for increased critical strike damage. If you need or want more survivability in this version of the build, take out the Sight Talons and put an Iron Feather instead. This will give you massively increased life, and you don't need as much critical strike with this build because of the capstone we're using. Then we have Calamity, extend the duration of our Grizzly Rage by 25%. We want to be in Grizzly Rage 100% of the time. And then Calm Before the Storm, another lucky hit. Nature skills have a chance to reduce the cooldown of our ultimate by 2 seconds. Again, just trying to keep Grizzly Rage up 100% of the time. And then next up, we have our Companion. Now this is going to change pretty heavily once you start to get your unique stones and have everything leveled up. But currently, this is stuff you can pretty easily get while leveling up, getting into World Tier 4. I'm currently only level 90. So this this is a place where you're going to get a lot more power, especially when you get the unique stones. But first off, we have Flash of Adrenaline, which is just a multiplicative damage increase for you. We have Tactical Support, which reduces the cooldown of this, so we can just get more damage buffs. We have Duration Support, which increases the duration. And the main thing you want to get to is when you level up these stones enough, you'll be able to have this buff up on you 100% of the time because it'll have the same cooldown as the duration. And then finally, we're using Gripping Support, which can just pull all enemies to you whenever this ability is used. This is just a placeholder. Once you get the Genesis Stone, you're going to want to use that because that'll massively increase the buff you're getting from this. And our other stone is Tempest. Now, the main reason we're using this is because this Governing Stone has the fastest speed. It's currently at 0.7. That means every 0.7 seconds, your Seneschal can cast this, and they will. So if you mix this in with something like Resource Support that gives you resources every time your Seneschal uses this ability, I'll currently be getting 10 primary resource every 0.7 seconds, and this will just get more and more buffed as you level this up more. You want Swift Support, which increases the attack speed bonus. This is why it's 0.7. I think this is at base like 1 or 1.2. Then I'm currently using Safeguard Support, and this just gives you some damage reduction every time it's cast, so this is just a good damage reduction. But once you get the Evernight Stone, which gives you +4 ranks to all skills when the Governing Stone is actually used, you're going to replace Safeguard Support with the Evernight Stone, which is going to give you +4 ranks to every single one of your skills. And because this lasts for 2 seconds and Tempest gets cast every 0.7 seconds, you'll just have +4 ranks of your skills at all times. So you'll be getting ridiculous power increases getting these unique stones. And then we have our Paragon Boards, and keep in mind, I'm level 90. These are not optimized at all, but these are going to be pretty decent while leveling up, and then you optimize and min-max once you get to level 100. The starting board, we're using Exploit. The main reason is because a level 1 Exploit glyph on the first board, you can get the secondary effect, which is what we want. When an enemy is damaged by you, they become vulnerable for 3 seconds, massively increasing our burst. Then the first board we're taking is Lust for Carnage. Crit strikes with werewolf skills restore 2 spirit, so this will just be restoring massive amounts of spirit. The glyph we're taking is Electrocution. Massively increased Lightning Bolt and Dancing Bolt skill damage. We'll be proccing a bunch of Lightning Bolts from different passives in our skill tree. And the secondary effect, enemies damaged by Lightning Bolts or Dancing Bolts take 20% increased multiplicative damage from you for 5 seconds. So this is just an incredibly strong glyph. Then we're going up, we're taking the Thunderstruck board. Storm skills deal increased damage equal to 20% of your damage versus close and damage versus distant bonuses. Mine is currently only 5%, but just getting a few rolls on pieces of gear, or once we get higher levels so we can get other glyphs, this will be a massive damage increase. And the glyph we're taking is Fulminate. Increase the lightning damage, but the secondary effect is you deal 12% increase the lightning damage to both healthy and injured enemies. Then we're going back down, we're going over to the right, we're taking the Heightened Malice board. It's not that many points to get down to this legendary node, which gives you 45% increase in multiplicative damage when 3 or more enemies are poisoned. Any crit we deal is gonna cause a poison on the enemies. Then we're going all the way back up. The next board we're going to be taking is Ancestral Guidance. I currently don't have it, but after spending 75 spirit, you deal 30% increased damage for 5 seconds, just another massive damage increase. And on this board, you also get Spirit on Kill. So 2 Spirit on Kill for the rare node, and 2 of these magic nodes give 1 Spirit on Kill. So 4 Spirit on Kill that'll give you massive spirit regeneration as well. Then next up, we have our gems and our legendary aspects. In your weapons, you want Crit Strike to vulnerable enemies. In your gear, you want max life. And in your jewelry, you want any resistances to try to bring your resistances up to cap. I currently don't have all my resistances capped because I'm still leveling up, and you'll get some more through your Paragon boards. Mine are all pretty close to being capped, so just getting some more levels, getting some more resistances through the Paragon boards, you'll get capped. So that's the main thing you want to do with your jewelry gems. If you don't need any more resistances, just put armor gems in your jewelry. And then starting off for our offensive aspects on our necklace, your core skills do up to 45% increase in multiplicative damage based on your fortify, just going to be a massive damage increase. Then you're going to want your Grizzly Rage aspect, so the duration of Grizzly Rage increased by up to 5 seconds. In addition, critical strikes in Grizzly Rage increase your critical strike damage by 10%, up to 200% multiplicative, so a massive critical strike damage increase. And then Grizzly Rage now shapeshifts you into a dire werewolf, and you gain increased movement speed and spirit cost reduction. Now you don't actually need this on your necklace when our Seneschal is generating us so much spirit, so this just on another piece is going to be completely fine. Up to 50% spirit cost reduction, already going to be really good. Then for our 2 other offensive aspects, the Earthen Might key passive also applies to your storm skills. That's for our capstone. And then finally, Lightning Storm crits spawn 3 dancing bolts that strike enemies in an area, dealing a bunch of lightning damage. And this will deal massive damage. This is why in big packs, even elites will just get insta-killed, because you'll crit a whole pack with a big lightning storm. Every single one of them will spawn these 3 dancing bolts. They'll hit everything around it and just delete everything. everything. This is also one of the reasons why Lightning Storm is so incredibly strong in AoE, but still kind of weak on bosses. And then for our defensive aspects, we're using damage reduction while in Werewolf, which is going to be almost all the time. We're using Disobedience. Now, once you get higher level, once you get maxed out, there's a new legendary aspect that gives you massively increased armor. I think it's up to like 7k, but that increases the cooldown of your dodge by 100%. And if you want to use that legendary aspect, which you want to do in the late game, you're going to also need boots that have the implicit that attacks reduce your evade cooldown by 1.1 second. You're pretty much going to need that, or you're basically not going to have evades for the majority of content because it'll have such a long cooldown. But then finally on your boots, while Hurricane is active, gain +2 ranks to your shape-shifting skills. Now I'm not going to go over stats in the video, but in the build planner linked in the description, you can find all of the more optimal stats. But while leveling up, you really don't have to care about your stats. Truly, you pretty much just need whatever uniques you need and your legendary aspects, and you're gonna be strong enough to very easily level up. And then once you get to level 100 and you want to start pushing higher nightmare dungeons and do all the hardest content, do all the Ubers, then you want to start min-maxing and getting those best stat rolls. So if you're at that point, check the build planner in the description. You'll be able to check all the optimal stats. But that's the entirety of this Lightning Storm build, and I think this is the strongest this version of a Lightning Storm build has ever been, mostly due to the new unique gloves. But there's also going to be a bunch of different alternatives to a Lightning Storm build, so there may even be stronger versions. But this build is so incredibly fun. It's incredibly satisfying to just have a built-up Lightning Storm, and you just click once and a Lightning Storm deletes an entire pack of enemies, including a pack of elites. It's incredibly fun for just going through nightmare dungeons and killing these massive groups of enemies. The higher the density, the stronger this build becomes. But that's all I want to go over, so thanks for watching.
I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I must wait a moment. I'm not ready yet. I must wait a moment. must wait a moment.